It's been 5 years since Warhammer 1 launched, and we've had another two $60 fees since then, and now you're finally going to get sieges, but only after the game's been delayed until 2022, presumably to facilitate what we're about to see. So let's take a look at this and see what we've got on our hands.
Sieging a settlement should not be an easy undertaking. Total War Warhammer 3 has reworked how sieges work.
Reworked how sieges work. Alright?
New ways of attacking as well as defending. Every inch taken will cost dearly. Settlement maps are now larger, and we've introduced more variety of maps than in previous games.
Which previous games? Previous as in Shogun 2 with its Star Forts. Previous as in Rome Total War, where you had sappers undermining, literally undermining the walls to make breach points, and where you had siege towers that would advance and have ballistas fire out to clear wall sections before the ramp falls and they flood over. Previous as in Medieval 2 with its cannons bristling out of walls that fire out into the desert during the Crusades. Let's keep going.
With the fall of the Turtle Gate, Miao Ying moves her army from the Snake Gate to Wei Jin in an attempt to bolster the city's defenses and drive Tzeentch out of Cathay. Wei Jin, capital of the Celestial Dragon Empire, is a three-walled fortress and a testament to Cathay's architectural brilliance.
Three-walled, so it's not an actual fort that can be surrounded, as is the case in Troy and Three Kingdoms. And I think this is meant to resemble Minas Tirith. I get that vibe from it because, look, we have the wall being built up all the way up to the top.
When defending, walls are the first defense against an attacking army, but by no means the last. We now have the option to turn the streets into a bloody maze. Using supplies, we can build towers, barricades, and traps.
This is not new. You could already do this in Attila, I think. You could definitely do this in Three Kingdoms, and it was one of the worst parts of the game. Putting down barricades in places that have already been determined, preconceived by the developers. It's just not satisfying. There's no agency there. If it's already been rooted out, all the paths that the AI can take have already been planned, and then the barricades have been put down after that, then you don't really have any agency. You're just toggling things on and off. You're just pulling levers on sluice gates. It's not satisfying to do that. And that's what it looks like here. You go up to a place where you're allowed to build something and you build it.
Prepare and plan your defense, but never rest easy. The first object for any attacker to overcome is the wall-mounted towers. Unfortunately for us Tzeentch invaders, towers now have wider capture areas, so defenders don't need to be as close for them to be active.
That's not remarkable. Why are they saying something like that in a trailer that's meant to show off reworking of Siege? We've already had active defences that fire projectiles at attackers. Why is it remarkable that you've increased the radius around the capture zone? Why would you say that? It's just not interesting. In Rome 1, you could take the length of wall beside the tower and have the tower. This shit was here like 17 years ago. Why are we talking about this like it's interesting? This is really boring. It's banal. It's not interesting that you have towers that can fire at attackers. Come on. We've had that for decades.
This means we can spread our docked units across a larger area and pepper...
Docked units. Alright, this is a term that I had never heard of until today, and I think I've been able to figure out what it means. To dock a unit means to place it on the walls. And you could do that in Shogun 2. It was essential in Shogun 2. If you spread out guns along a wall, along the entire length of the wall, they can all fire down, and it's essential to being effective at Shogun 2. They're talking about stuff that we've had for like 15, 20 years now.
For the invaders with arrows, bullets, and artillery on their approach. The might of Grand Cathay isn't enough to keep Tzeentch from breaching the walls. The walls will soon fall.
And this is funny, you've got these, I don't even know what the fuck they are, it kinda looks like the Time Splitters creatures, you know, the aliens and Time Splitters. And if you scroll down, you see there is something bizarre about horrors using ladders, so I'm gonna assume that these are horrors. They kinda look like plucked chickens. They've got weird creatures climbing up ladders just like you had in Third Age, and it was strange then and it's strange now. I admit it does look weird, but people that are complaining about this and saying it looks weird are probably Warhammer fans that are expecting something a bit different and didn't ever expect to see these weird plucked chickens going up ladders. They never imagined they would see that. Just like Lord of the Rings fans didn't expect to see trolls going up ladders in Third Age because the systems are not designed for it and it just looks out of place. Maybe that's more of what's going on here.
To fall back to our secondary positions within the city. Our defense now lies with our barricades, traps, and towers. We'll need a new currency introduced in Warhammer 3, supplies. We'll start the defense with a base number of supplies and can gain more during combat by holding locations around the settlement.
So now it sounds like they're just using that thing that was shown off, survival battles.
We'll use our structures, which have been built from salvage found in Khorne's realm, to our tactical advantage. They'll help us herd our foes into kill zones so we can take control of and maintain the battle's flow.
Look, it's the same interface. You've got the radio menu that spans out in it and you can go up, down, left, right. It's just like for consoles. It's like a consolitis Total War. That's what it looks like to me.
In a supply, key building, and victory points.
Also, look at that. It's just percentage modifiers. This is boring shit. Melee defense plus 15%. Leadership plus 10. Leadership is the Warhammer word for morale. Everyone else calls it morale, but in Warhammer they say leadership for some weird reason. Hit points greater than 25%. So this is a key building that just gives spreadsheet number modifiers to units. It's not interesting. This is not interesting.
Victory points. These key points have pre-designated.
I've been pre-washed, pre-cooked, pre-heated, pre-screened, pre-approved, pre-packaged, post-dated, freeze-dried, double-wrapped, vacuum-packed, and I have an unlimited broadband capacity. There's fucking prefix. Everything pre. So it's designated, pre-designated, fucking designated. Alright, let's go.
Build locations for construction. Once a barricade.
See, look, there's the radio menu. Up, down, left, right, and then you go to this. Up, down, left, right.
Place barricades on either side of the victory point and block off all easy routes up the main ramps.
And it's all been designated already. It's preconceived. It's conceived in advance of you conceiving of it. So you're just retreading the steps that have been taken by developers already when they were plotting out how sieges go. Why can't I put that anywhere I want? Why can't you just give me a map that has been designed to look natural and organic, and then you give us these systems and let's play stuff? Why is it up to the developers to decide where the fuck we can put it? Look, it's like a mobile game. Why are we not allowed to do what the fuck we want? Look, so something is either there or it isn't there, and you click a button and then it's there? Fuck that! What is this garbage? No, this is not gameplay. This is just you toggling something on and off. Fucking sluicegate gameplay, lever pulling gameplay. Fuck this.
Barricade or tower is constructed, it can be dismantled for a refund of supplies and rebuilt elsewhere. But keep in mind, construction and dismantling is a lengthy process.
It's not lengthy at all, because I remember seeing it takes 15 seconds to build, 5 seconds to dismantle, so it's not fucking lengthy at all. What are you talking about? Lengthy? What the fuck? That takes absolutely no time. When I'm playing Men of War 2, it takes fucking entire minutes for a Storm Tiger to reload. It takes like 20 seconds to reload a fucking 128mm on a Jagdtiger. That is a real-time tactics game. That is a game where things are consequential and actually matter. This is not lengthy. What the fuck?
Barricades and towers are destroyed if their health reaches 0, or if the supply, building, or victory point they're attached to is taken by the attackers. If this occurs, your supplies are not refunded. It's worth noting that whilst attackers can capture points, they cannot build barricades or towers.
No shit, why would they want to? So they take a street and then they try and fortify it in case the defenders for some reason want to attack them? Why would the defenders want to leave their defences and attack the fucking attackers? What the fuck? Redundant.
Rather than a messy brawl in the streets, Warhammer 3's sieges are about defenders controlling the flow of battle.
sluice gate gameplay where the levers that you pull to control the sluices have already been put in place by the developers and you're just retreading. Confirmed.
Using a settlement's architecture to plan and execute layered fallbacks and hardpoints, where they can chip away at an attacker's forces. To this end, settlements have become multi-leveled with bridges and upper tiers that cross over streets, giving...
That actually does look interesting. That is the only thing that I've seen so far that looks remotely worth a fuck. Maybe if Warhammer 3 had satisfying ranged combat and getting kills at range actually meant something, and if you were actually fighting for it, but from what I've heard, Warhammer 3 is kind of just like Troy and Three Kingdoms, where you're just giving kills for free. All your ranged units easily fire all of their ammo and get all the kills that they're going to get, and you don't have to fight for it or earn it. It's rare in Shogun 2 if a unit of Boa Shigeru manages to fire all of its arrows and gets its full allotment of kills over the course of a battle. It's rare when they live long enough to do that. And likewise, if you can have a unit of guns fire all of its ammo, that is almost unheard of in Shogun 2. It's almost unheard of that a unit of Matchlock Ashigaru will have enough opportunities to fire all of its ammo and rack up like 500 or 1,000 kills. So if it were possible in Warhammer 3 to use ranged units and make the most of them using these types of design features, this verticality, then maybe that could be interesting. But what I imagine it's going to be is that archers are going to just fire all their ammo easily no matter what you do, so who cares?
Ranged units more opportunities to shine. A good many of these bridges and overlooks are dockable like the...
Yep, dockable, so that's what they're talking about here. I don't know about this. This has been around since Rome Total War, where you had the little chevron things, the little arrows, that give you a preview of where your men are going to end up on the walls, and it's been there all the way through to Shogun 2, where it worked really well and you really needed it for guns, because you would spread your guns one man thick all the way along as much wall as possible, and they would just fire and get loads of kills, and it was really satisfying. That's actually the peak of satisfying siege battles in Total War for me. Shogun 2, which is why I managed so many amazing victories with sieges. With my Impossible Battles series playlist, like half of these, at least half, are sieges because they're the most gritty, the most desperate, and where you can actually overcome massive stacks if you play perfectly and do really well. If you plan out and fight the gritty fight, look at how I'm using the terrain here to have multiple lines of guns firing at the same target. See that? You have to use everything you can get in this game.
Primary walls, giving our soldiers all the buffs and benefits of any other docked unit.
Oh man, there's the spreadsheet, and let's see if we can look at that again. 20% range, what the fuck? Augment an area for 20% range within a 32 meter radius for a barricade platform. So when you climb onto this platform, you get extra range, as opposed to just having that be part of the game systemically, where units that are higher up than the target can fire at more distant targets. We have to force it by having this area that the developers have decided is up high give a flat 20% that doesn't consider whatsoever for where the target actually is relative to it. This is such a dead implementation. It's such a flat, dead implementation of a fake system.
Any other docked unit. In siege.
Alright, here's another one. Barricade Blocker. This barricade will block the path of attackers. It has high health and allows defending infantry to climb over it. And then it's a blocker that gives 15% missile resistance. Oh my god, so it's just like the fucking turtle formation. Get your missile resistance up to 100%, be immune to arrows. Just stack this as much as possible whenever you're getting fired at by arrows. Yeah, okay. See how it's just all number based? It's all just a spreadsheeted number based approach. Fuck this.
Both the attacker and defender's role are tactically more challenging and more...
What the fuck is this trap? 15% reduction to speed, 15% reduction to melee attack. Yep, just more numbers. So it's just a fucking spreadsheeted number simulation all over the place. There's not any actual tactics involved. You're just looking at numbers and collecting numbers and avoiding numbers.
Rewarding. Settlements in Warhammer 3 have been designed with more open areas and strategic avenues to hide troops in. The avenues are the perfect ambush spot, making flanking and devastating charges a more viable tactical strategy.
tactical strategy. There's one for you. Tactical strategy, Creative Assembly 2021.
In overview, Warhammer 3's sieges offer a diverse array of fresh settlements to overcome and protect. They allow defenders to prepare for a new kind of battle occurring after the attackers have taken.
It's not a new kind of battle, we already had this fucking decades ago. Look at this here. Look at this shit here. Look at what we have here. Medieval 2, 2006. We have cannons inside the towers firing out. Look at that, see the cannonballs skipping off the sand? If it hits at a shallow enough angle of incidence, it bounces off the ground. Hang on, I'm going to try and find one. Let's find it. Cannonballs skipping off sand dunes and sailing out of sight. Look, watch that one. Wait. See it? Look at those cannonballs flying off into the distance. Look at that. And then if we reverse. Greek fire throwers firing into the side of engaged infantry and horses, while handgunners fire from behind. Early guns, very early guns. So this was back when you could actually use infantry to hold off enemies and you didn't rely on barricades to do it in a way that's completely fake and preconceived, where it came down to the infantry and their actual properties. And look, fire projecting mangonels, know what they're called? Mangonels with explosive oil barrels fired over the massive column. And then I've got infantry coming in to mop up, Greek fire throwers firing into the flanks, guns firing over their heads. See all this? Look at what we had. Look at what we had. And then we have grape shot here. That was a grape shot that just fired right through everything there. And you can hear it glitching off the walls and the buildings. Solid shot, here we go. Just fired through my own men to rout these units with solid shot, point blank.
Taken the primary walls. They add a new currency to manage and spend on fortifying defensive fallback positions with barricades, towers, and traps which are used to further repel invaders. They allow for a multi-layered experience where units can be docked to overlooks and walls within the settlement itself.
We already had this in Shogun 2 pretty much. My god, we had this in fucking Shogun 2, hang on. Alright, so this is the sweatiest fight I've ever done in a Total War game. This was the most desperate, sweaty fight I've ever done. Here is the battle that I fought and won by using these siege tactics. Hang on, I'm going to find it. So we have an outside wall that's manned, and then we have an inner wall that's manned, and you could have 3 layers of walls. If you were to fight on one of the actual fortresses, you would have 3 layers of walls inside walls inside walls. Maybe there's even more than that. And also you would have star forts in Fall of the Samurai, which never got done properly. You could have star forts with no dead zones, with kill zones, and they had Gatling guns that fired out of the walls. Gatling guns and modern cannons firing out of the walls themselves. Actual star forts. So I don't think any of this is impressive.
And encourages real-time reorganizing of defenses to adapt to an ever-changing battle. All of these features, coupled with dynamic new settlement designs, make for challenging and satisfying sieges packed with highs, lows, and phenomenal visuals. Wei Jin has fallen, but the forces of Tzeentch will struggle to reach the celestial city above. The Dragon Emperor is safe for now. Even so, his daughter has barely managed to escape with her life. To Nangao she travels.
Alright, so in terms of the spectrum of possibilities afforded by the concept of sieges and Warhammer 3, from the worst imaginable to the peak, the pinnacle, the best we could have hoped for, I think this is right at the bottom in terms of almost as bad as just not even existing. It would have been almost as disappointing, I think, if they had just not even bothered and had just left it how it was. They might as well have just pulled a Troy Naval Battles and just cut it all out and not even had a single ship. Because all we're getting, it seems like, is this survival battle bullshit, tower defense bullshit crap, getting imported into the main game. That's what it seems like to me. And who cared about this? Everyone was just disappointed by this stuff. No one went for this. It's just that all over again. And supposedly there's a spectacle that we're meant to be excited about. And for some reason I didn't feel it. I'm not feeling it. It didn't seem spectacular. We already saw way more spectacular in 2013. 2012, October 2012. So nearly 9 years ago. Actually, yep, 9 years ago in a week. We had the Siege of Carthage trailer where they advertised something way more spectacular. Look at this, we had fucking ships. That's something that Warhammer 3 still doesn't have. Look at this, we were marketed with fleets sailing into the bay, the port of Carthage, disembarking, fully geared up legionnaires disembarking, storming Carthage after it's been bombarded from the sea into oblivion. Look at this. This is what we were meant to be impressed by 9 years ago. Actual spectacle. Look at the filters. Look at how laggy it is. Look at how the guys have dark shadows. Look at how gritty this is. As they said, it was meant to be like Saving Private Ryan. And look at the direction we've gone. We've gone from this to fucking spreadsheeting where we're meant to be stacking numbers together. And we're building shit like we're playing fucking Fortnite, like putting barricades up and everything. Look at the state of this. What the fuck is this direction we've taken? And yeah, it's just tower defense that's been imported over. That explains it. And is it any fucking surprise that we already had way better with the Call of Warhammer mod for Medieval 2? Look at this, you could do all this already in the mod for Medieval 2 that already has all this. How sad is it that the Call of Warhammer mod for Medieval 2 has now been confirmed to always have better sieges than the full AAA version of Warhammer being depicted? How sad is that? Look at this, we have actual walls here. This is what you fight from. The walls, there's no bullshit regions or radii or numbers that get added on. You're either above them or you're not. You're either fighting a good fight or you're not. There's no numbers that impose tactics, fake tactics. There's no sluice gates that you pull levers for. You just have the map and have your units and fight the battle. Look at all these walls. Look at these layers of walls, layer defences. We have a gate there. There's boiling oil that gets poured down. You can pull your units back to the next layer of defences behind the walls, and then they have to bring their siege weapons up and attack again. To me, it's confirmed that this is just always going to be the pinnacle of sieges in a Warhammer Total War game. The Medieval 2 attempt from like a decade ago. So that's all I have to say about this. It's disappointing. It wasn't worth the wait of 5 years for sieges in a Warhammer Total War. It wasn't worth delaying because we already didn't give a shit about this when it was shown for the tower defense MOBA bullshit here. So it's as bad as it could possibly be, I think. This is the worst possible news. This is basically on par with just having not bothered at all. It just doesn't mean anything to me. And I don't see how anyone can be excited about this. It just seems kind of brain dead. If they actually believed in this, what they would have done is divide all of the YouTubers that they have into two groups, attackers and defenders, and then sent them out copies of the game's early access so they could fight each other using these systems, and had them upload videos showing how amazing it is. But they're not going to do that because it's not going to go well. Instead, we're having old features being marketed at us, like we already saw with Troy when they said that terrain types like long grass were new when they absolutely weren't. So, I don't know, it just gives me more of the same vibes of they don't really understand Total War. They haven't played the older games. They don't even know their own franchise. They are adding stuff that we've already had years ago and that we weren't impressed by. I always disliked traps, barricades, field defences, all that stuff. It's just not interesting. It's not interesting. It isn't good for gameplay. And having these numbers be pretty much the entire way that the advantage is simulated just kills it for me. Seeing the plus 20% range when you're standing on a barricade just confirms it to me that they've completely lost their way. If there's anything that we can take from all this, it's that going over to Warhammer was not an excuse to make games that are going to be better than ever before. It's not a way to create spectacle that would never have been possible with actual historical games, because The possibility, the potential is just being consistently spurned on cheap shit. It's just spreadsheeting. That's the way the gameplay is implemented, with the flattest, most simplistic spreadsheeting that wouldn't have been out of place in Shogun 1 of 2000. So here's your flying monsters during sieges. This is what they should have been shown. Yep, there is. This is the possibility that's afforded by basically just having a completely fictional universe that has no basis in reality whatsoever. All the stuff that you can do, so much potential, so much possibility. All you have to do is be ambitious with your games and the design. You can make people feel things that these movies made people feel. You can actually live up to the expectations and the hype. Look, there's the verticality there. See that verticality? Holy shit. But of course, we're never going to get any of this because they didn't go over to Warhammer because of the possibility it affords. They went over to Warhammer because it's a soft fan base where people have low standards. And you can expect to see that be confirmed with how much this is scrutinised. I don't expect there to be much scrutiny. I don't expect there to be much disappointment. I think people will just forget that we had better than this already and that this is just old features being returned, reused, and marketed as if they're novelty, ingenuity, creativity, when it's just recycling, and when we're not just recycling from older games that already had all this stuff and did it better, but we're also recycling from things that we haven't even had yet, with the weird MOBA tower defense game mode we saw a few months ago. That's it from me. Subscribe to my second channel. I go over a lot of stuff in depth on there, a lot of discussions about Total War, and also join my subreddit if you haven't, where we talk about these things as a group. Alright, I'm out here. If you wish to support my work, I have a Patreon. Special thanks to my patrons Matteo Olivetti, Nerdington, the Rode451, Halcyon, and Robert Sparks.